It's the top of the hour. You're tuned into the news on Sansad TV. I'm Teena Jha. From Defence Minister Rajnath Singh's statement in Parliament on accidental firing of a missile to live updates from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we have you covered on all national and international developments on the news today. As usual, first, the top stories of the day. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar apprises Parliament of the situation in Ukraine, says 22,500 people returned safely to India under Operation Ganga despite huge challenges. Many Ukrainian cities witness heavy shelling and rocket attacks. Leaders of Poland, Czech Republic and Slovakia to visit Kiev. India's missile system highly safe and secure, says Defence Minister in a statement to Parliament. Government orders high-level inquiry into the unintentional firing of a missile on the 9th of March. At the BJP Parliamentary Party meeting in New Delhi, Prime Minister Modi cautions against the evils of dynasty politics, says there is no place for it in his party. Karnataka High Court upholds ban on hijab in classrooms. Petitioners move Supreme Court against the order. A quick look now at what else made news through the day today. COVID vaccination of children in the age group of 12 to 14 to begin from tomorrow. Booster doses for all those above the age of 60. Prime Minister Modi invites people to share ideas for Mann Ki Baat program on the 27th of March. Terrorist killed in gunfight with security forces in Avantipura of Pulwama district in Jammu and Kashmir. Indian Air Force seamlessly blending old and new technology while maintaining good safety record, says the IAF chief. Bombay High Court refuses interim release of Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik in money laundering case. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin seeks Prime Minister's intervention to halt INO project in Teni, citing environmental concerns. Country's first digital water bank aquarium launched in Bengaluru aims to provide clean drinking water and sanitation. Supreme Court orders stay on the telecast ban on Malayalam news channel Media One. Telangana orders half day in schools till the last working day of academic year 2021-22. And United Kingdom to lift all COVID-19 travel restrictions starting Friday. Let's begin with news from Parliament. The government has taken serious note of the incident of an Indian unarmed supersonic missile being inadvertently launched on the 9th of March, which landed in our neighbouring country, Pakistan. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh told this to Parliament on Tuesday. He assured the House that India's missile systems are reliable and safe and the incident is being investigated. Here's a report.
मैं इस गरिमामयी सदन को 9 मार्च 2022 को हुई एक घटना से अवगत कराना चाहता हूं। यह घटना इंस्पेक्शन के दौरान अनजाने में हुई मिसाइल की रिलीज से संबंधित है। मिसाइल यूनिट के रूटीन मेंटेनेंस और इंस्पेक्शन के दौरान शाम को लगभग 7 बजे दुर्घटनावश एक मिसाइल रिलीज हो गई। बाद में ज्ञात हुआ कि यह मिसाइल पाकिस्तान के क्षेत्र में जाकर गिरी। यह घटना खेदजनक है, परंतु यह राहत की बात है कि इस दुर्घटना से किसी भी प्रकार का कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ है।
The Defence Minister added that a formal inquiry has been ordered.
सभापति महोदय, मैं सदन को सूचित करना चाहता हूं कि सरकार ने इस घटना को बहुत ही गंभीरतापूर्वक लिया है और इसके लिए एक औपचारिक उच्च स्तरीय जांच के आदेश भी दे दिए गए हैं। कथित दुर्घटना का सटीक कारण जांच के बाद ही पता चल पाएगा।
The Defence Minister emphasized that the country's missile systems were very reliable and safe.
मैं सदन को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि हमारा मिसाइल सिस्टम अत्यंत सुरक्षित और भरोसेमंद है। इसके अलावा हमारे सेफ्टी प्रोसीजर्स और प्रोटोकॉल्स उच्च स्तरीय हैं और समय समय पर इसकी समीक्षा भी की जाती है। हमारी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस वेल ट्रेंड एवं डिसिप्लिन्ड हैं और इस प्रकार के सिस्टम को हैंडल करने का अच्छा अनुभव भी रखती हैं।
Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
More than 22,500 Indians have returned home from war-hit Ukraine, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar told Rajya Sabha on Tuesday. In a statement in Parliament, he said Operation Ganga was launched on the directions of Prime Minister Modi. The Union Minister outlined the logistical challenges of the exercise and also the dangers that the hostilities place to the Indian community. He asserted that even as India participated in global deliberations of this evolving situation at the UN Security Council, the priority to safeguard its own citizens and ensure that they weren't in harm's way. Listen.
Despite the challenges posed by the serious ongoing conflict, we have ensured that about 22,500 citizens have returned home safely. Spoke to the presidents of Russia and Ukraine on multiple occasions. He specifically took up the issue of safe evacuation of Indian nationals, especially from Kharkiv and Sumy. Prime Minister also spoke to the Prime Ministers of Romania, Slovak Republic and Hungary and the President of Poland to seek their support for facilitation of entry of Indian nationals to their countries.
Moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held an interaction on Tuesday with embassy officials and community organizations involved in the evacuation of Indians from war-torn Ukraine. Union Ministers Hardeep Singh Puri, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Kiren Rijiju and V.K. Singh, who were sent as special envoys to countries neighboring Ukraine to facilitate the evacuation of Indians smoothly following Russia's attack, also took part in this meeting. The newly elected 39 members of the Goa Legislative Assembly were administered oath of office on Tuesday. The MLAs took oath in Konkani, Marathi and English. Newly elected MLA Ganesh Gaonkar took oath as Protem Speaker on Monday ahead of the Vidhan Sabha session. BJP is the single largest party in the House with 20 seats in the 40-member Legislative Assembly, one short of the majority mark of 21. The party has not yet staked claim to form the government.
एमएलए पहले बार सेशन बुलाया था तो ऑल 40 एमएलएस का 39 एमएलएस का शपथ विधि हो चुका है। गवर्नमेंट फॉर्मेशन का जो प्रोसेस है वो अभी विद ऑब्जर्वर सेंट्रल भारतीय जनता पार्टी से ऑब्जर्वर आने वाले हैं। ऑब्जर्वर आने के बाद उनके साथ डिस्कशन होगा, लेजिस्लेटिव पार्टी का लीडर डिसाइड होगा और बाद में गवर्नमेंट फॉर्मेशन हो जाएगी।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reiterated the dangers of dynasty politics for the Indian democracy. Addressing the BJP Parliamentary Party meeting in Delhi, he said this was the reason why the party took a conscious decision not to give tickets to the sons and daughters of BJP MPs for the assembly elections in 5 states. Several leaders, including Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal attended this meeting. The BJP, remember, has returned to power in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur and Goa in the recently concluded 5-state assembly elections.
कि जो सत्य है उसको सही स्वरूप में देश के सामने लाना देश की भलाई के लिए होता है। उसके कई पहलू हो सकते हैं। किसी को एक चीज नजर आती है, किसी को दूसरी नजर आएगी। जिनको लगता है कि ये फिल्म ठीक नहीं होगी, अपनी दूसरी फिल्म बनाए, कौन मना करता है?
And Lok Sabha members of the Congress party also met on Tuesday to discuss the party's strategy for the ongoing parliament session. The meeting was chaired by party president Sonia Gandhi. Former party president Rahul Gandhi, party leader in the House Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and other leaders also attended the meeting. On Sunday, the Congress Parliamentary Party had decided to raise issues of public interest in both houses of parliament in association with like-minded parties. Hijab is not an essential religious practice, ruled the Karnataka High Court on Tuesday. In fact, refusing to strike down the state government's ban, a 3-judge bench said the prescription of school uniform is a reasonable restriction which the students in fact cannot object to. The government has the power to issue an order in this regard. The High Court order said that schools had reasonable grounds to impose dress codes that forbade the hijab in the interests of preventing divisions on religious and other grounds. The petitioners later moved the Supreme Court against the Karnataka High Court order. And in news from other parts of the country, the left government in Kerala on Tuesday has clarified its decision to hand over the Waqf Board appointments to the State Public Service Commission. State Waqf and Sports Minister V. Abdul Rahman told the State Assembly that the board itself proposed entrusting the recruitments to the PSC. 11 MLAs of the TDP were suspended for a day for allegedly disrupting proceedings of the Andhra Pradesh Assembly. Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy appealed to members to allow the business of the House to function smoothly. The Supreme Court will constitute a bench to hear the petition challenging the Allahabad High Court's decision to grant bail to Ashish Mishra, the main accused in the Lakhimpur Kheri violence case. The petition will be heard on Wednesday. The Madras High Court has said government officials should not be allowed to use mobile phones for personal use during office hours. It directed the Tamil Nadu government to frame rules to ensure this and also take action against the violators. As many as 6,411 candidates were left in the fray for the urban local body elections in Odisha after the last day for withdrawal of nominations. Voting will be held on 24th of March for 109 municipal bodies, including 3 municipal corporations in the state. Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi, commander of the Northern Army in Jammu and Kashmir, presented gallantry and distinguished service awards to soldiers on Tuesday. Sepoy Chandan Kumar was posthumously awarded Sena Medal for exemplary courage during an operation in Galwan Valley. Exams for classes 10 and 12 for students in Assam started on Tuesday. To mark these offline exams, Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma wished Assam board exam students the very best. People played Holi with ashes today at the Manikarnika Ghat in Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. Thousands of people took part in the Chita Bhasma Holi tradition at the Ghat. And the number of people opting for herbal and organic colors has increased. Traders said that business, which was not good for the last 2 years due to COVID pandemic, has picked up this year. News now from the world of business and economy. It seemed to be a day of stealth Omicron. China reported more than 5,200 COVID cases on Tuesday, which kept 30 million people in the country in lockdown. No wonder stock markets too were spooked. The biggest fall was seen at Hang Seng. It was down 1,116 points or quarter to 6%. Shanghai Composite was down around 5%. Taiwan weighted fell 2%, while Kospi was down by little less than 1%. Back home, the investor sentiment was denied by imminent US Federal Reserve tightening and a relentless sell-off in Chinese stocks amid resurgence of COVID cases. As a result, brakes were applied on the 5 days rally and the market stumbled. BSE Sensex lost 709 points and ended the day at 55,777 levels. It was a loss of 1.26%, while NSE Nifty 50 also lost around 1.25% and ended below 16,700 level at 16,663. And with that, time for a quick break here, but coming up on the other side, stranded and wounded animals. That's the other phase of human war. Details on that as well as developments from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. When we return, do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on the news. Time now for all the latest developments from the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The Russian offensive in Ukraine edged closer to central Kiev on Tuesday, even as both countries kept open a diplomatic channel with more planned talks. A series of Russian strikes hit a residential neighborhood in the capital, while another explosion damaged the entry to a subway station that was being used as a bomb shelter. Here's the latest report. A series of Russian strikes hit a residential neighborhood and a metro station in Ukraine's capital, Kiev. 2 people were killed in a huge fire that engulfed the 15-story apartment building. Firefighters rescued several people alive. Amid an announcement of a long curfew extending until Thursday morning, Prime Ministers of Poland, the Czech Republic and Slovenia are traveling to Kiev to meet the Ukrainian president. Zelensky also published another video message overnight where he sounded a note of cautious optimism about the talks. Meanwhile, the European Union unveiled its 4th set of sanctions against Russia. Britain also announced new sanctions targeting Russian luxury goods. The US said it will revoke Russia's most favored nation trade status. It is also in talks with the group of 7 countries to roll out new sanctions. Calling the ongoing war nothing short of a nightmare for those living in besieged cities, a top Red Cross official urged the safe passage out for civilians and humanitarian aid. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. A veterinary clinic in eastern Poland has set up a rescue service for pets left behind in Ukraine during the ongoing war. It has now become a hub for animals in this war.
14 kilometers from the Ukraine border, the city of Przemyśl has become a hub for refugees arriving in Poland. It's now a transit hub for refugee animals as well. Staff at the Yadav Foundation have already helped rescue more than 400 animals from the war zone. The latest arrival is a black dog with no name or ID tags with serious injuries to its hind legs. The star at the clinic is Shasha, the baby albino goat. Shasha came on an animal rescue convoy. Like many of the animals, his origin and owners are unknown. Although he likes to stand in the sun to keep warm, caregivers fear his eyes are not too strong to withstand the sun. Shasha has tight bandages to strengthen his undeveloped front legs. The clinic currently has about 80 cats. 50 were shipped to Germany for adoption. In another wing of the clinic are the dogs, like Vera, who has an inoperable old wound. The staff at the foundation are sure the world wants to help in these troubled times, and the animals too will find new homes. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Let's now take a look at what's happening in other parts of the world. All of the world's countries on Monday kicked off a UN-backed meeting aimed to prevent the loss of biodiversity on Earth. The discussion is seen as critical to avoid the extinction of many vulnerable species, the emergence of pathogens like the coronavirus, and the damage to both lives and livelihoods of people around the world, and also the indigenous people in particular. Here's a report.
At the UN-backed Biodiversity Convention in Geneva, the debate about the origins of the novel coronavirus has put new emphasis on zoonotic diseases. Experts point to 5 drivers of biodiversity loss: changes to the use of land and sea, unsustainable exploitation through activities like agriculture, climate change, pollution, and the spread of invasive alien species into new habitats. Unsustainable production and consumption also play a role. A key issue at the convention is repurposing and redirecting harmful subsidies, currently $500 billion per year, away from nature-negative to biodiversity-positive outcomes. A draft proposal to be adopted in China will seek $700 billion to improve biodiversity. Reducing pollution from plastics is also part of the draft. The effects of climate change can be seen in Finnish Lapland, where reindeer are getting smaller and lighter. This is because warmer winters are bringing more rain. And when this rain falls on snow, it freezes, locking reindeer's food such as lichen beneath the ice. Unable to smell the food or dig for it, the reindeers starve. The Arctic is warming 3 times faster than the rest of the planet. Scientists say stopping warming at 1.5 centigrade can avoid or at least lessen some of the most catastrophic climate change effects. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on to some other world news. Iran rained missiles on the northern Iraqi city of Erbil on Sunday, calling it retaliation for an Israeli strike in Syria that killed 2 members of its Revolutionary Guard Corps. The attack near a US consulate complex marked a significant escalation between the US and Iran. The Revolutionary Guard said it launched the attack against an Israeli strategic center of conspiracy in Erbil. Earlier, the US and Iraqi security officials said the strike was launched from neighboring Iran. The US and China are holding talks in Rome amid mounting tensions between the two countries over the Russia-Ukraine war. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is meeting the chief diplomatic advisor of the Chinese Communist Party, Yang Jiechi. Ahead of the talks, the US accused Russia of asking China for military equipment to use in its invasion of Ukraine. It also warned China to avoid helping Russia evade punishment from global sanctions. China's new COVID-19 cases more than doubled on Tuesday. 3,507 new locally spread cases were identified in the 24-hour period, up from 1,337 a day earlier. The fast-spreading variant is being called Stealth Omicron. China had managed to keep the virus at bay since the deadly initial outbreak in Wuhan in early 2020. But now, in the first 2 weeks of March, it has recorded more than 10,000 cases, far exceeding previous flare-ups. No new deaths have been reported, and the case count is still quite low compared to many other places in the world. The US is also closely watching developments around the stealth Omicron, also known as BA.2. Former White House COVID advisor Andy Slavitt tweeted on Monday that based on case increases in Europe, the US could see a new rise in COVID-19 cases over the spring. America currently has about 35,000 cases of BA.2, and the White House expects that to increase. Initial research suggests BA.2 is more transmissible than the original Omicron, about 30% more contagious by one estimate. In Washington, D.C. and New York City, a search is underway for a gunman who has been stalking and shooting homeless men sleeping on the streets. The police released surveillance photographs of the gunman, who authorities say killed 2 people and injured 3 more in less than 2 weeks. The killer's motive is still unknown. The police are focusing on finding unhoused people in subways and other locations to urge them to seek refuge at city-owned shelters. And time now for all the action from the world of sports. Talking about cricket first, Pakistan were 192 for 2 at the end of day 4, chasing a target of 506 set up by Australia to win the Karachi Test. The home team need 314 runs on the last day of the match. Australia declared their second innings at 97 for 2 wickets. Pakistan were then reduced to 21 for 2. Captain Babar Azam scored a century and added 171 runs with opener Abdullah Shafiq to keep Pakistan in the hunt. Australia won their 4th consecutive game in the ongoing Women's World Cup as they defeated West Indies by 7 wickets at the Basin Reserve in Wellington. Australian bowlers led by Ellis Perry restricted Indies to 131, and their batters then overhauled the target in the 31st over itself. Opener Rachel Hines made 83 not out. Australia currently sit at the top of the table. Indian fans will have their eyes set on the 15th match of the Women's World Cup. Tomorrow, India take on struggling defending champions England in a crucial match for both teams. With 2 wins in 3 matches, a win will consolidate India's chances to make it to the semi-finals. England need a win to stay in contention after 3 losses. Moving to football, Manchester City were held to a goalless draw by Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park on Monday night, giving hope to chasing Liverpool in the Premier League title race. The result means City's lead over second-placed Liverpool stands at 4 points. In tennis, Daniil Medvedev was sent crashing out of the Indian Wells Masters in a stunning defeat to Gael Monfils that ended his reign as world number 1. French world number 28 Monfils produced a vintage performance to down Medvedev 4-6, 6-3, 6-1 to advance to the 4th round. After surviving a scare against Sebastian Korda in his opening match in Indian Wells, Rafael Nadal earned a far more comfortable victory over 27 seed Daniel Evans. The Spaniard advanced to round of 16 with a 7-5, 6-3 victory, extending his career best start to an ATP Tour season to 17-0 and earning his 400th career ATP Masters 1000 victory. Talking about Formula One now, 7-time F1 champion Lewis Hamilton will change his name to honor his mother Carmen Larbolestia. The 37-year-old said he would add his mother's surname to his. And before we wrap up the bulletin, a reminder of the top stories of the day. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar apprises Parliament of the situation in Ukraine, says 22,500 people returned safely to India under Operation Ganga despite huge challenges. Many Ukrainian cities witness heavy shelling and rocket attacks. Leaders of Poland, Czech Republic and Slovakia to visit Kiev. India's missile system highly safe and secure, says Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in a statement to Parliament. The government orders high-level inquiry into the unintentional firing of a missile on the 9th of March. At the BJP Parliamentary Party meeting in Delhi, Prime Minister Modi cautions against the evils of dynasty politics, says there is no place for it in the party. Karnataka High Court upholds ban on hijab in classrooms. Petitioners now move Supreme Court against the High Court's order. So that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you for your time.